Hey, you are listening to the Elevate Your World podcast. This podcast is dedicated to helping startups, small businesses, and entrepreneurs grow their business. And I am your host, Jules. And in this episode today, I'm talking about the fear of making mistakes. Now, the Elevate mindset demands that we adopt this new attitude to making mistakes. We have to actually welcome failure because it's a key part of our learning process. In fact, you learn more from making mistakes than from doing things right. I definitely have in my life. However, this attitude is not second nature for most of us. Definitely not. I mean, who says you shouldn't make mistakes? I think that comes from our childhood when we were in school, nursery school, primary school, and we were always, told off for getting things wrong. We got an F or a sad face when we do things wrong on our work. So yeah, maybe that's where it comes from. But what keeps many of us from getting over this fear of making mistakes? It's this perceived pressure from outside. Maybe you don't think it's such a big deal. It's that worry about what other people will say, what they will think. Will they laugh at me? It could be the pressure from outside that makes you unable to take risks. And if so, it might be helpful to kind of realize that no one's judging. Most people are just so wrapped up in their own lives and their own business and their own things that they're not even noticing. But the people around you, your supporters, will more likely be impressed to see that you're taking a risk, even if you don't succeed. You tried. What's that saying? It's better to try and fail than to never try at all. And what's the worst that could really happen? I think sometimes it's helpful to think about the worst that could actually happen if you're trying something new and possibly fail. This helps take away that fear because you realize the worst case scenario is not so bad after all. Will you actually wreck your business completely? Or how much money will you actually lose? Will there be permanent damage that can't be undone? These are just, a few things to consider. And with doing that, right, you've done that. That's the worst case. Now let's visualize and think about the best that could actually happen. You will grow your business. You will grow your customer base. You will earn more money. You can quit your 9-to-5 and work for yourself full time. You can retire early. There's just so many things. Just think about the positive and the good things that can actually happen. And often by the time you compare these two things, you can see that the potential reward will far outweigh any of the risks. But there's that voice. I've said this before, my inner critic is, she's tough. She's a tough one on me. That inner critic, that voice in your head that shoots you down before you even ever get started. And when setting goals, we all want to be realistic. And that inner critic goes beyond, it goes beyond being realistic. That inner critic, that inner voice simply just stops you from doing anything at all. And when you're about to take a risk and try something new that potentially might fail, this voice stops you by focusing on mistakes you could make. You can silence your inner critic by identifying it and calling it out. Learn to recognize when you're not being realistic, but being self-defeating. Once you know when this is happening, it's so important to have self-awareness. You can remember that succeed or fail, you will learn something. You will learn something valuable. And there's this quote I love. It's not that you lose. It's either you win or you learn. And it might be helpful to realize that you're definitely going to make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. It's just a part of life. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. And then once you do that, you will welcome these mistakes. And this is an essential part of growing, and you will learn from it. You will always learn. And people who seem brave don't have any more courage than the rest of us. They're afraid, but they take action anyway. They just do it scared, but they do it. And another final thing is how we speak, how we talk, our language. The language you use is vital in forming how you think about what you do. And learn to rephrase things into positive language rather than negative all the time. And it will change your attitude as well. For example, you've just launched a product that didn't sell because you didn't do your targeting well. Now this is where you've understood where the problem is. Instead of saying something like, you didn't do it right, say, okay, I need to work more on my targeting next time. Because, we're about to elevate life. We don't quit. We elevate. We keep going to the next level. So you work on your targeting next time. You're focused on then how you can improve and what you've learnt rather than how you've made a mistake or failed. Right. There you have it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode on making mistakes. I hope you've definitely picked up a thing or two, learnt something. And yes, please do check out our other episodes. We've got quite a few other episodes up now. As usual, you can contact us through our website, elevatestudiouk.com, if you're listening from Spotify or Google Podcasts. And I will see you on the next episode.